Rental prices in the city of Toronto have dropped. In fact, they've been dropping for a while. When we look back at the charts now, it's very clear that the summer to fall of 2023 was the peak of rental prices. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's happening in the Toronto rental market. We're going to tell you as a tenant how to get the best deal on a rental. We're also going to talk about the types of properties that are still renting fast, even in a softer overall rental market. And we're also going to explain exactly how rent control works here in the city of Toronto. If you enjoyed this video, you'll learn anything new, make sure to like this video, get subscribed to the channel, and you can book a call with our team in the first link in the description. I'm going to bring back my team member, Amrit, for this conversation today. Amrit, thanks for being here. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So let's talk about rent. I was looking back at all the videos on my channel and I realized like I haven't done a rental video in, I don't know, probably a year because we're mostly focused on sales here. But our team collectively does over 100 leases a year and we are active in it, right? So we see what's going on. And I think there's a few topics I want to talk about with you today. But the first one is just like rental prices are down. We've seen it in the rentals.ca data. And it's not just like a little bit, it's like we're seeing some like double-digit rent decreases on year over year. So why have rental prices finally dropped after going up for so many years in a row?
Yeah, good time for renters. Rents have come down. That's primarily because of this more supply in the market. But the supply which is coming, many renters are also saying that that's not the best supply.
Right.
So it kind of depends now what you're looking for. So yeah, one of the main reason is there's high supply. And second reason, do you want to share? What's the reason?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I look at like the supply, it's like, okay, obviously if prices come down, it's because there's more supply, but it's like, why is there more supply and where did the demand for that supply go from where it used to be, right? So purpose-built rentals, at least here in the city of Toronto, we've seen them shoot up faster than we've seen in 35, 40 years. They are an entire building that is not owned by a bunch of individual landlords. It is owned by a large corporation, and they are incentivizing people to move into these buildings pretty much as soon as possible, right? When these things launch. So we have all these purpose-built rentals, and then it's like, well, where did the demand go? Walk me through why some of the demand's not there from where it used to be.
Yeah, second reason for the demand side of things, for the lower demand side of things is, I would say, immigration levels have come down.
Yeah.
So when immigration levels, especially the government is targeting temporary residents, and temporary residents, they typically go towards renting side of things as opposed to buying. So that has a lot of impact on the rental side of things. So combination of high supply, especially the PBRs, that is purpose-built rentals, and the lower immigration, the combination of that has had an impact onto the rentals.
One thing we've also seen in our own business is more than ever before, at least recently in 2025, we're getting potential first-time home buyers calling us saying, hey, I'm a renter and I'm ready to enter the market now. And what's interesting, if you look back at when rental prices were at their absolute peak, do you know what else was extremely high at that period of time? Interest rates.
Interest rates.
Interest rates. No one talks about this. When interest rates go up, rental prices have gone up historically because those potential buyers are being locked out of the market. They can't afford to get in anymore. The stress test went up. Now that the interest rates have come down, there's a lot of potential people that would have been renting that are now doing what?
Entering the market. So
Right.
that's what has also some impact on the rental side of things again. So that's the trifecta effect, I would say, onto the rental market in the city of Toronto. Yes.
Now, even in a slower overall rental market to like, remember 5 years ago or 4 years ago, like how silly it was. There was like multiple offers on every rental. And so we've been through all the different cycles of the rental market here in the city of Toronto. But even in a slower market, there are still some properties and some locations that have specific criteria that are still moving fairly quick. And we had talked about this in a team meeting recently. We're like, we can't believe how quick these ones are leasing out. What is that property type?
Those are bigger 1+10s and bigger 2 bedrooms. These are moving still quickly, especially 1+10s, which has a square footage of 650 square feet and has a parking spot. And the den is spacious enough where you can set up at least like, if not 1 or 2 workstations in that den.
Right.
Those dens are moving fairly quickly. And the 2 bedrooms, which have a split layout, 1 bedroom on the left, 1 on the right, decent kitchen, those are also moving away fast. And that's been noticing because a lot of the corporations or companies, they are requesting or telling their employees to come back and work from their offices. So that's also generating some demand. And right now we also have the school year opening up in the September. So that's also has some effect on the rental side of things. I'm not saying rent's going up, but demand is slightly increasing. This is also, to be fair, this is the peak season for rental market right now. So that's what we see.
Walk me through though, like that 1+ den, which I'm guessing is in 20, I don't know, let's say year 2000 to year 2015 building maybe, because that's what we see with those when those floor plans were built like that. 650 square feet, 1+ den. It's a real den. It's not a dent in the wall. You likely have a parking spot. What's the sweet spot on like pricing though? Like, what's the price point for that? And we're talking about like reasonably good condos in the core of Toronto, downtown, midtown, Yonge and Sheppard.
Those buildings range in the terms of age is going to be about like 5 to 20 years range of the age of the building. And you can find a decent 1+ den with parking spot is going to be about $2,500 a month. And in these buildings, most of these buildings, in terms of utilities, heat and water is included, and only hydro is separate. Because in the brand new buildings, nothing is included. The tenants have to pay everything. So that's the difference. And that's why these buildings within the age of 5 to 20 years old, they are more attractive.
So how do you get a deal? If you're a tenant right now and you've decided like, I'm going to rent something in the next few months, what can I do to strategically get a better price on my rent?
I would target a building which is brand new, not the best layout, might not be the best layout, but you'll get a deal because there's so much supply in that building. But this comes with the trap because, okay, fine, you're paying less right now and you're getting the best deal out of it. But in a couple of years, who knows how the rental market trends, right? If the rent prices go up, the landlord can increase the rent by whatever amount, because these buildings, these are not rent control buildings. So any buildings which was open after 2018, the exact date is, I think, November 15th, 2018, right? So any building which is open after that, the landlords have all the right to increase the rent or jack up the rent by whatever amount. So there's no limit to it. So that's something I would consider before getting into a brand new building.
And with those brand new buildings, you kind of have two options, right? You have the brand new condo that is owned individually by one landlord, likely, or you have the purpose-built rental where it's an only rental building. And I guess you could make the argument that maybe if your goal is to rent for several years, that maybe the purpose-built rental could be better because they're not going to put that up for sale. Like it can't go on the market for sale. It's a purpose-built rental. But for both these scenarios, as long as they were built after that November 15th, 2018 date, then they do not fall under rent control. I'm not sure over the next year or so if it's really going to matter, because if your landlord's like rent's going up $400, you're like, no way. I know what's on the market. I'm just going to move to that one, right?
Right.
But eventually, you never know. It's I guess arguably better to be protected, with those rules.
Yeah, if your plan is to stay put long term, then it's better to get into rent control building. If your plan is for short term, let's say a year or two, then it's fine to target the brand new building. You find in that way. In any case, if the landlord increases the rent, which is unrealistic, which is not at par with the market rent, the tenant is going to move out, and it's a cost for the landlord to find a tenant. So they're not going to increase it drastically, right? So that's why.
I think this might be actually the first time. Well, I mean, you can go back to the pandemic where everyone was asking for rental discounts and getting it. But this is the first time, like if you rented something a year ago, 2 years ago, and you're still paying that rent, you might want to take a look at what's leased out recently in your building and go back to your landlord and say, hey, before you try to increase my rent by whether there is rent control or not in the building, actually, I could just move. So I want my rent to be decreased. Landlords aren't going to like me for bringing that up, but I think tenants should understand what their options are, right? So when you look at new buildings, and I should probably explain this too, the reason why with the condos you would get a better deal is because there's tons for lease at the same time. Many of them are the exact same floor plan. They're competing with each other. Landlords want you in there tomorrow because they are paying interim occupancy. They have fees involved, or maybe it's fully registered. Their mortgage is already kicked in. They have costs. They want you in there. But as a tenant, it's not always just price for the landlord. It is so one-sided in Ontario, the landlord-tenant rules, that landlords are just like spooked. And they're like, we'll take actually less money sometimes just to get the right tenant. So walk me through, like, what does a tenant need to make an application to put themselves in the best position?
Yeah, they need to, also I would add this too, if they want a good deal, just get all your documents in draw, because landlords like a good tenant with a good profile. So if you're able to present yourself in best possible human being, you will get the place maybe at a discount price as well. So get your employment letter first, get your pay stubs, get your credit report, the whole report, and get even mention your LinkedIn profiles and just write a quick blurb about telling about yourself. Sounds weird, but it works because anyone would want to know who's moving into their condo or into their house. So that's why a combination of all these documents will put you in a better place. In any ways, these documents are mandatory, but if you present yourself in the best possible manner, you might get that. You might be able to scoop that deal.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, if you submit an application, the landlord is going to look you up online and they are going to find your social media. So just be aware of that if that's something that you are concerned about. Well, thank you, Amrit. I think this was an interesting discussion. I think it's encouraging news for the first time in a long time for potential renters in the city of Toronto. That's not as bad as it was. To put things in perspective, though, rental prices are still way higher than they were in 2019, 2020. We just went up so fast during that time when everything else came down on the sales side of things that it's calmed a little bit. You know, it's still hot outside. I'm still sweating, but it's a little bit better than it was previously. I can feel some wind today. I think that's a good analogy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, rents have come down, but they have not come down by, let's say, $1,000. They've come down by, let's say, $200 to $400, depending from location and building as well in the city.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something new today. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think about Toronto rental prices and what could happen in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.